So I am 24 years old, almost 25, born in California, Southern California, grew up in Southern California, and I now live in Belarus. Yes, the country that gets a lot of bad press on the news, like, ooh, Belarus. It's a great country. But yeah, I now live in Belarus, and I have much less discrimination. Well, in fact, I have none. I have no discrimination here in Belarus, whereas in California, like, people, like, my dad especially would always tell me, like, oh, you're only in school for a few years, stop worrying about it, stop caring about it. But no, you're not only in school for a few years, especially if you want to go to medical school. It's like, no, I start school at 5 years old, end school near 30 years old. That's a big chunk of my life. And it started when I was, I don't know, like 14 or 15, when I was in high school. They started this anti-white people stuff, anti-American stuff. Those are two major aspects of what started to happen in the United States and California. One, they've largely succeeded at making people hate America and hate white people. When I was in high school, it started with hating old white people. They taught people that it's because of the old white people that we have all the problems in the world and in America that we have today. But when I got to university, I had professors, especially one professor, who specifically hated white teenage boys, not old white men who are apparently technically they are responsible because they're the people who are in power. So of course it's not because they're white men that they cause problems, but when everyone is a white man, so yeah, of course, you look at the presidents of the United States, they're all white men. So it's not because they're white men that they caused any issues that we might have. It's just, they are all white men. I mean, America was founded by white people. What a shocker that our presidents are white. But yeah, when I got to university, I had professors that hated young white people as well. And if it was just the professors disliking, one of them said there's nothing he hates more in the entire world than white teenage boys, so that's not just disliking, that's a very serious hatred. When there's nothing in the entire, not child slavery, not sex trafficking, not murder, rape, teenage white boys, that's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, because there's nothing worse than white teenage boys. Like, what did I do? I guess I did everything. I probably raped everyone in the world. I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't just that the professors hated white people, white boys especially. It was that the course material in the classes, unless it was like a science class, because it's kind of hard to, but even in science classes, they try to make white people seem bad, but it's a lot harder when you have to teach science to bash white people versus if you teach an English class or a writing class or a history. I mean, you got to take a lot of other classes when you go to, as we call it, college, but it's really university that I went to. In Europe, we really separate, like, calling it college and university. But yeah, whether you go to college or university in the United States, if you take any of the elective classes that are not math or science, they are anti-American, anti-white propaganda classes, I guess you could call it. Everything you learn is against America and against white people. They paint this picture that the white Americans are the enemy. I mean, they don't even have to paint it, they say it. They literally say it word for word, that that's the enemy, that we need to get rid of them. I don't know if that sinks in enough to you, but it's just racism if you say it's just for the white people, but to say that we need to get rid of the Americans, because they don't just mean like white Americans. Like, it's not just some white people that they hate. They literally hate Americans. This is a university in America teaching that Americans are the problem. Yeah, in my original video I recorded, I talked about how, like, I had classes where they literally say that the plan is, we gotta bring in all these people from South America and outpopulate the actual Americans. Of course, they always link American with white, so it's, if you wonder why I make certain linkings when I'm speaking, why I talk about like white people and colored people, it's not because I have this fixation on white people and colored people, but because I have been forced. When I went to university, they made it very clear that, like, you're either colored or you're white. That you're evil pro-American or you want to destroy America. It wasn't me that had the fixation on being white. I thought I was just going to go be a student. When I was in high school, it was one thing. Like, it wasn't super common yet. Like, yeah, some professors mentioned it a little bit about how old white people are the problem, and some anti-American rhetoric started. But when I got to university, it's just absolute craziness, and it's not like just some people kind of talked about. Like I said, every class, like 90% of classes that were not math or science, it's like they're literally being paid to make people hate America and hate white people. Like, that's the only goal of the class. You can just rename all the classes, get rid of their name. It's not English class, it's not History of Europe class, it's not Vietnamese class. No, it's Hate White People and American class. That's all it is. And yeah, it's really incredibly sad, and like, I did not want to go to more school in the United States. Maybe there are good schools in the United States, but I'm going to medical school, and I decided, you know, I can't, like, of course I can live through 4 more years of that, but I don't want to. Like, I don't want to live somewhere and go to school somewhere where the people hate me and they teach me how horrible I am every day and how we need to get rid of all the people like me. And no, I don't like that. I wouldn't, if we're saying the same thing about black people, I wouldn't blame black people for not liking. Of course someone's not going to like when the whole aim of the school they're going to is against who they are. I'm a white man. I don't want to go to a school that's just going to teach how white men are the worst thing in the world and we need to remove, like, they should not be able to, like, if I go to a medical school, I assume they would be saying how they shouldn't be able to hold, like, high positions in hospitals, and, yeah. Even just talking about it bothers me, because I lived through it, and it's, yeah, I've had multiple professors, so I had the one who nothing hated more in the world than white teenage boys, who failed me. Then I had this woman who called the police on me because she asked, well, also I'll give some prelude. So her husband was a revolutionary. He just blew up buildings and people. Not a terrorist, a revolutionary. And according to her, white men need to be removed somehow. She didn't specify how exactly. Removed from every position of power in the entire world. And I don't just mean like from presidency. She meant, well, she said, like, companies should not be able to be run by white men. countries should not be able to be run by white men. Like everything, white men are not allowed. Like we can't have any white men. And she would have you work in groups, and if you became the leader of the group, like just naturally, like you happen to take a leadership position in the group, and you help make things work, because some groups don't just work sometimes. Like someone has to kind of take the lead, talk to all the people, make them work together. But if you end up in kind of a leadership position in that group, you automatically fail. So you better just like sit there and not do anything, because if you accidentally are talking the most, or you kind of like take lead and you kind of like you propose ideas, then you fail. But then one day she's telling us, I don't know why, since it had nothing to do with our class, like, what if the whole state of California was taken over by a foreign army, and foreign troops are coming to either take you to a camp where you're going to be prisoner or killed. But like, you don't know if they're going to kill you or just keep you prisoner, but she specifically said, like, so I don't need to clarify, like, you're gonna maybe be killed, maybe be prisoner by a foreign army. And she said, what would you do? I don't think it's really important that maybe you wouldn't be killed. Yeah, you kind of gotta assume you're gonna be killed. But also, defense of your homeland? Even if you're not gonna be killed, you're supposed to defend your homeland. And first student goes, I would run. Next student goes, I would hide. Someone's like, well, people said some pretty ridiculous stuff. Like someone was like very specific that they would like hide underneath some certain table or something in their house. First of all, like, where are you running to? The whole state is taken over by a foreign army that's looking to kill you or make you prisoner. You're gonna just run to your backyard? Oh, you're gonna run down the street? You think they're not on this? They're in the whole state. So where are you running to? That's ridiculous. Oh, you're gonna hide because you think they can't go, oh, I see. It's not a game. Maybe they're not gonna look underneath the table. Maybe they're not gonna look in your closet. But even if they don't see you at first, like, what are you gonna do after that? You go outside, they're patrolling the streets. So yeah, I specified how I would, since this is video for the whole world and I don't want to give away details of my home, how I would retrieve a firearm, and as the enemy approaches me, I would shoot them, of course. Like, what else would I do? Am I gonna, like, shoot myself? Am I gonna just say, hey, come and kill me or take me prisoner? No, I'm gonna kill the enemy. And if they have my family at gunpoint, I'm gonna shoot them in the head, because like in movies, people always like, they take people hostage, and for some reason people don't just shoot them. Like, I could hit the top of a beer bottle. If I can hit the top of this beer bottle from like 30, 40 yards, like without really even paying attention with a pistol, you think with my rifle that I'm afraid that I'm gonna accidentally shoot my father or mother in the head when I'm aiming for the other guy's head? No, I'm gonna shoot them in the head. That's the end of the story. It's stupid in movies, not especially when you're like a few feet away from the person. Of course you can hit the person you want to hit and not the person you care about. You think that they're gonna move faster than the bullet's gonna? No, bullets travel really fast. If I have my gun pointed at them, or I was talking about a rifle actually. Looking back, maybe it would have been better to grab a pistol, but I said rifle. So yeah. kill them as they try to kill me, and then kill them when they have my family. And she called the police on me. You gotta be thinking, like, why did she call the police? She says, what would you do if people try to kill you? Well, kill them. I don't know, what did she think? Like, our country's taken over by a my phone ran out of memory, but yeah, like, you gotta be thinking, what exactly did she call the police on me for? Like, she worried that I'm, like, too American, that I'm gonna kill too many of the enemy if they try to take over my homeland? Like, what is it? If anything, she should call the police on the people that said they're gonna... I'm joking, like, obviously not, but I'm the only one who gave a good answer. Police, so like the next day, as I'm walking out of class, there's two police officers, and they ask me to come over, and so I go over. I had no idea that she called the police on me. And they asked me, like, what we talked about yesterday in class, so I told them, like I told you, and they're like, so you didn't say you want to shoot up the school? No, I did not say I want to shoot up the school. Like, what did she tell you? And they're like, well, she said that you expressed a desire to shoot people at the school. No. And they're like, so it's just what you told us about? Like, no desire to shoot people? No. And they're like, well, we recommend you talk to someone about this professor because she seems dangerous. Like, yeah, something's wrong with her. She's calling the police on people who are talking about defending their homeland and instead tells the police that they want to shoot up the school. Like, that's not normal. That's her hating me, wanting to get me in trouble. How ironic that I happen to also be a white, at the time I was probably 20, so not white teenager, white man, we can say. And she advocates getting rid of all the white men. Oh, maybe that's how she thought she's going to get rid of me. If they think I want to shoot up the school, then I go to prison. That's one less white man out there in the world. And these people, they're not stupid. They realize that, like, for example, if you finish a class, you're one step closer to finishing your degree. If you finish your degree, you're one step closer to getting a job. They don't want you finishing their classes. They don't want you finishing the university. And if you do, then they don't want to, like, these people infiltrate companies. They're like a disease or something. They get in, and they make sure to do whatever they can to get rid of all the people they don't like, and to only hire more people that are on their side, whatever you want to say. So yeah, I forgot exactly what I was talking about before I gave that example, but in case you couldn't realize it, like, going to school as a white guy now is not a fun thing, and I didn't want to do more of it. So I'm super happy that I'm here in Belarus, where there's no discrimination against me, where I'm not failing classes for being white. Shoulders hurting me a little bit. Yeah, I like being in Belarus, where, like, I'm just a normal person. In California, it was always that I'm an evil white person. And like I mentioned, my dad would tell me, like, oh, just forget about it, get it over with. It's like, people that aren't in school nowadays, and especially people who haven't been in school a long time, like, you spend a lot of your time in school when you're in school. And if you're doing that for years, it does impact you when for years of your life, for a majority of the day, you have to be subjected to people that hate you. And it's not like it stops when you come home, because in your homework, you have to do classes that are anti-white, anti-American. So yeah, I'd come home and it's like, yeah, I'm no longer physically there with them, but now I gotta read this garbage that tells me how evil white people are, how evil Americans are. And I've actually got to write stuff agreeing with it. I mean, I've written stuff that doesn't agree with it, doesn't go over too well, and you have to then pretend, like, you have to play the ignorance card, like, oh, I didn't really realize. Sadly, and you may fault me for this, like, oh, I should have stood up to it more. Hey, I can stand up to it a lot more if I have a degree and I can get a job someday. But while I'm in that university, I need to get through it, because I'm not going to do anyone any good if I'm unemployed when I'm older. But yeah, you have to like pretend you're ignorant, like, oh, tell me what the real truth is, and then they educate you on how bad white people are and how bad America. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that. And you gotta pretend like you're learning this great stuff, and like, okay. Yeah, I definitely do not want to go back to school in the United States. Like I said, maybe it's different in other states, but in California, it is miserable to be a white boy, a white man. And I really worry for my children, because I don't know how it is now in like the lower part of the school. Like I said, it just started when I was in high school, and by the time I got to university, it was horrible. I don't want my kids to have to, like, from age 5 to at least age 18, say they're not even going to go to college or university, you still got to go to school from like age, well, I mean, really age like 3 to age 18. That's a long time for them to be subject to this. And say they do want to go to college or university, age 3 to age like 22 now. And say they want to go to medical school like me, age 3 to 26, 27, who knows exactly how long. That's a lot of their life, and you can't argue otherwise. Like, if you're going to school 5 days a week, and even when you come home, you gotta do the school assignments, and it's all anti-white people, anti-American, it takes a toll on you. Plus, you never know, like, who, pray to God, and luckily I don't think my children are going to fall for the brainwashing. But what happens if one of your kids actually, like, believes what they tell them? That would be really bad. So yeah, like, I really have to take all this into consideration, because I don't want my kids to go through what I went through, but I think it's going to be even worse. I mean, hopefully it'll be better by that time, but I can't subject my kids to that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know for sure that they're going to probably, not for sure, but they're most likely going to go to university here in Belarus. But for grades preschool through high school, I don't know. If I have enough money, I guess I can pay to have them homeschooled, but then like they're not interacting with other kids. I don't know. It's really tough. And I also have to think about, for me, like, I'm gonna work in the United States where the companies have been taken over like the universities have, or I'm gonna be discriminated against at work, probably lose my job a few times because of being white, pro-American, also pro just like truth and reality, because nowadays if you don't go along with their fantasies and their make-believe stuff, you get canceled. And then there's this coronavirus garbage that if you say, like, yeah, I'm not really too concerned with coronavirus, now if you work for a hospital and you don't promote vaccination or like discrimination against people who aren't vaccinated, you lose your job. If you say the vaccines are unhealthy, you lose your job. So I'll see what happens. But yeah, I really like, here in Belarus, I'm just a normal person, get treated like a normal person. People ask me sometimes, like, oh, do they discriminate against you because you're American? No, I've never had any discrimination at all here. It's very freeing when that's the case. Like, I'm used to being in California where I'm always the target. here, I'm just alive. I'm just a person. I go to school, and it's not, the aim of the school is not to tell me that white people and Americans are evil. Ironic, because people think, oh yeah, in Belarus and Russia, they teach you how evil Americans are. No, they don't. No one's telling me that I'm evil because I'm an American, or that America's evil, or something. Only in school in America do they tell you how evil America is. Crazy and sad. That the place you're gonna experience the most anti-American rhetoric is in America. And that's not a mistake. Our enemies knew that the way to take us down was from within. Our founding fathers even said it. I just hope we can recover from it. Because I love America. I love my home. I want to go back there someday. I want to raise my kids there if I can. I mean, I also want to raise them in Belarus, but yeah, I like my home, but currently it's horrible. Yes, my parents have a nice house. We're not really poor or anything, but when I say horrible, I don't mean because we're living in some, sewer. I mean, it's horrible because if I walk down the street, it's not like America. If I go to the beach, especially the beach, it's not like America. I don't know if I said in this video or said in my other one, if I go to the beach near my house, there's two beaches that are close, Seal Beach and Long Beach. If I go to Seal Beach, typically it's, sometimes you'll have some of the American high school students that go there after class, towards the summertime. But besides them, it's packed with non-Americans who don't speak English. You don't hear much English. And if I go to Long Beach, I don't know why it is exactly, but you'll also see them flying flags of their home countries on our soil. I don't come to Belarus and get a giant American flag and put that in a park. What the hell would why on earth would I do that? That's super disrespectful. And it's just strange. No way on earth I would ever put a giant American flag, it must be more similar, on the bank of the river here. But these people, they go to the beach, I've gone to Long Beach, and there's gigantic Colombian flags, or gigantic, I don't know what the flags are. And it's not just at Long Beach, and it's just somewhere I happen to have seen it more than other places. The nature of California is amazing. I love it. But I don't like going to the beach, for example, and I don't hear English, and I see people that aren't American, and they have their flags of their home countries. If they're in America, and they seem to really like America, they're enjoying our country, they should have American flags. I've already said this, but I would never. I'm not even gonna wear a shirt with an American flag if I'm in Belarus. Not because I'm afraid. Oh, I'm worried that they're gonna arrest me. No, because why on earth would I? What am I trying to say by that? Why am I in Belarus if I love America? I mean, I do love America, but it doesn't make sense. I would never go around with a gigantic, they don't just have gigantic. I wouldn't go around with it on my shirt, like I said. I certainly wouldn't have a gigantic American flag. It's what on earth are you trying to say and do by that? I can't imagine it. I go to the river here and put up the gigantic American flag. What am I trying to do? just absurd. Even if I go to other beaches nowadays, like go to Huntington Beach, where supposedly people are evil and racist, because you go anywhere where there's more white people and it gets accused of being evil and racist and white supremacist. But even Huntington Beach now, go there, a lot of non-Americans not speaking English. You can go to Newport Beach now. I come home, like I said this in the other video, I come home to LAX, I don't hear English. And perhaps there's going to be liberals out there making fun. See, he's so sad he doesn't hear English. Yeah, I am bothered by it. So yeah, I had reasons to come to Belarus besides this, but I really did not want to stay in, like, I love the nature, and I'm a nature person, but I really did not want to go to any more school in California or the United States. It's such a relief to be here in Belarus. Yeah, I don't hear English here, but I wouldn't expect to. At least they treat me like a normal person. In fact, most people are excited when they meet an American, so it's like even get a little extra. I just hope someday that where I grew up will be America, with Americans speaking English. And I'm gonna bring my wife to California if she gets a visa, and I'm super excited. And at the same time, I realize, like, she might not wanna live there, like if she sees how it's become. And of course, there are other areas we can live. It's just hard. Like, I really love the nature. Like, I really would like to live in California. I really would. But I know how bad it is to live there and to have to interact with the society there. Perhaps working as a doctor will be not so bad as being a student. I hope so. I'd like to give it a try. And then, like I said, my kids, what will I do for them? Because it's not just about me. Like, I do really care about my kids. I don't have any yet, but and perhaps I will add that other video segment, although I think I covered pretty much everything. And you may be asking yourself, well, if Belarus is so great and California is so bad, why don't you just stay in Belarus? Think what you will, but at the end of the day, I do want to make more money than I would make here. That's it. Give me the same salary I'd have in the United States. Give it to me in here. I'm staying here. Now, again, nature. I really like the beach. And in California, I can drive to the mountains and to the desert. So there's that. So who knows, maybe I would have to visit each summer or something. But for the most part, if I could make more money here, I would stay here. Part of the reason I want all this money is not just because I care so much to have all the money. It's because I want to do scientific research that requires a lot of money. I can't do that scientific research if I don't have money. Like, if I can yeah, maybe I have a good life here, I can live good enough, not be suffering, but I really want to do certain scientific research, and I need money for it. Now, of course, I also want money to have, like, luxuries in life, but that scientific research is number one. Like, I really hope that there's not something that stops me from doing it. It's something I really care about. Having kids and raising a family and my scientific research.